Now to the most important part of every show. Today's guest is Janice Walters. She is the senior troop leader with the local troop of the Girl Scouts at Service Unit 108. Welcome.
I am so happy to be here, Rick. Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. I have two favorite seasons. One of them is college football season, which just ended. Thankfully, the second season has just started a short while ago, and that is the Girl Scout cookie season. And thank you for bringing a tray full of delicious treats.
I think we'll have a good time having some tastings today.
Folks, I have come prepared. I have my red Solo cup full of milk, I promise, and we're going to do a taste test of some of the cookies as we learn more about the local Girl Scout troops and Girl Scouts in general. All right, but before we dive in, I have picked a cookie. What is this cookie?
That cookie is a s'more, and I don't think that any self-respecting Girl Scout that has gone camping hasn't made s'mores. So this is a fairly new cookie, and of course the classic graham cracker outside
Right.
and marshmallow and chocolate inside, and they're pretty good just like that. But if you pop one in the microwave for about 8 to 10 seconds, you will swear you just picked it right off the campfire.
Oh, that's a good tip. Good eating and good tips. Now, tell me a little about the local Girl Scouts.
The local Girl Scouts meet at First United Methodist Church in Blairsville, Georgia. I've been with them about 8 years, and we are about 35 strong. We encompass towns, Union, and Fannin counties, and we range from, and although the levels available are kindergarten through 12. We have girls enrolled from kindergarten through 10th grade right now. Kindergarten is the daisies, that's the starters for K1. And then second and third grade are the brownies. That's the classic brown
Right.
uniform that you've seen over the years. The next level is juniors, 4, 5, and 6, which kind of encompasses middle schoolers. Seventh and eighth grade are called cadets, and that's starting to get into our senior ranks. We have one girl now that is with the senior program, and that's 9 and 10, and then ambassadors, which are the 11th and 12th graders, and they start taking on a new role as assistants to current leaders and mentoring some of the younger girls in the troops along with the leaders that are there.
Now, where's your troop based out of?
We are based in Blairsville
Okay.
at First United Methodist Church, kind of central to Towns Union
Sure.
and Fannin.
Sure. Now, you mentioned the various, it sounds like levels. Tell me a little about the four pillars.
Absolutely. Well, we have about 6 leaders that are working in all of those different levels of Girl Scouts. But within Girl Scouts, we talk about the 4 pillars, which are STEM, outdoor activities, life skills, and entrepreneurship. Now, STEM is something very new, about 10 years old within the Girl Scouting program, to kind of propel girls into what typically was a male-dominated market. And outdoor skills, I think if anybody remembers, not too long ago, there was a ballyhoo with girls wanting to join the Boy Scouts because of the outdoor activities. Well, the girls have ramped up outdoor activities now.
All
Then
right.
life skills, which were some of the typical things that I'll say 2 or 3 generations ago, ironing, sewing on a
Sure.
button, house skills, that kind of a thing. Well, that's expanded a bit, but we still have those basics. Everybody needs to know how to, iron a blouse, sew on a button, go off to college and know how to do your own laundry and make a bed. So those are important. But the biggest thing ties into what we're talking about here today, entrepreneurship. And Girl Scout cookies are the #1 young person entrepreneurial program in the United States. So here we are enjoying the fruits of the girls' labors.
According to, I read a few articles because I found this interesting. According to the Girl Scouts in 2023, the top, they sold around 200 million cookies. That
Although
is a lot of cookies.
I that is an amazing amount of cookies.
One article gave the history. In 1917, a Girl Scout troop in Oklahoma sold cookies in their high school cafeteria. It kind of took off. In 1922, the American Girl magazine published a recipe for sugar cookies that were specifically meant for troop sales. 1922, a bag of those sugar cookies cost about 30 cents. Well, you think that's over 100 years ago.
Absolutely.
That was a long time ago. Then by the 1930s, the Girl Scouts started selling commercially baked cookies, and it's just blown up. I mean, every year. Now, the one particular article talked about, and this I found interesting, and we talked about it off the air before we started, was that the cookies, depending on the region, have different names.
Yes, they do. There's two major bakeries, Little Brownie Bakers and ABC, and there's a couple of little offshoots. But one basically is East Coast, and one is kind of mostly West Coast. And although there are some with the same, West Coast is this what we call the Samoa, the
Right.
caramel chocolate coconut. They call caramel delights. So. A rose by any other name, but they're
Right.
still darn good.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. No, 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 no. Now, in all the articles I read, the Thin Mint was your top dog.
By far, about 28% of the product mix goes out of the 9 or 10 cookies
Right.
that we have from year to year, are the Thin Mint sales, followed closely by the Samoa's, Caramel Delights,
Right.
and Tagalongs. And then the rest kind of trickle off behind that.
Those were the top three, according to the one article that I read from 2023. Now, let's try one of those number ones.
Absolutely.
This is the Thin Mint. Now,
the Thin Mint, yes.
when I mentioned I was coming on, several agents said, "Oh, I love those Thin Mints, but you've got to put them in the freezer."
Absolutely, you have to put them in the freezer. By the way, the Thin Mint is a vegan option cookie, and a lot of people come up to the booth and they say, Thin Mints is my favorite, and they only get one box. And I tell them, this isn't going to work for you because this box is going to be half gone, by the time you get to the house. But go ahead and get an extra box or two and get them in the freezer. That's the only cookie that the inside of it maintains a biteability, where sometimes you freeze and you can't even bite
Right.
through. The Thin Mints, what the inside of it you can still get your teeth through it in a frozen state. It's wonderful.
Well, I can see why they would go through them so quickly. I don't know if I have a big mouth or what, but that thing went in just in whole. It was delicious. How long have you been involved with the local Girl Scouts?
I've been involved for about 8 years. The pastor at the church at the time said, "Listen, we've got one little troop with 4 girls, and I really want to expand the program, and we're looking for somebody to spearhead the effort to ramp up Girl Scouts, because the Boy Scouting activities at First United are phenomenal. So we wanted a competitive Girl Scout program." So. Unlike what I learned in the military about not raising your hand, I made the mistake and put my hand in the air, and here we are 8 years later, doing really, really well.
Very good.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned the military. I know nothing about you other than these delicious cookies, so I already love you. Tell me a little about your background.
Absolutely. Out of school, I went to New England Aeronautical Institute for a little while and then entered the military and went to helicopter training school. I was a UH-1 helicopter crew chief right at the end of the Vietnam War. Went to Europe,
wow.
flew for General Staff, and then came back to Fort Eustis and Fort Story and worked with helicopters at the test pilot training school. Got out, went to school, degree in hospitality, a minor in accounting, came to North Georgia with my newly married to me husband.
Right.
And just, getting footing in the community, and this was a good way to give back along with some veterans activities.
Well, thank you for your service first.
My pleasure.
That is, I've got to ask, how many ladies were there going to school when you were?
Oddly enough, this was 1975,
Right.
and those fields were just opening up to women. So it was kind of a double-edged sword. The beauty of it, that that women that wanted to get into some of those non-traditional fields, that was a good thing. But we really had to fight our way because we were
Sure.
by far the minority. My first duty station in my entire company of almost 200, there was 3 women. I was on the flight line, uh, working on the helicopters. There was 1 woman in base operations, the radio control,
Sure.
and 1 woman in supply. And we really had to kind of stand firm to not be bullied and make our way. And I'm not saying that
Right,
spitefully,
right.
but it was
Yeah.
just a
Sure.
sign of what the time. Now,
Sure.
here we are quite a few years later, and women are experiencing quite as many of those challenges, and certainly way more fields have opened
Right.
up to them. So that's wonderful.
It is almost as though the Lord prepared you for the top entrepreneur position in our country for young girls, and that is the Girl Scout cookies.
That is true. And we do have a day when girls get to meet women that are in non-traditional fields. And the woman that's over me, Frances Mason, she worked in forestry service. And of course, she's a little older than I, so way back when that was a non-traditional role. We had, and I really do need to take just a little side moment here. I
Sure.
don't do this by myself.
Sure.
We've got some amazing, amazing women that run the troops. So I'll not take all the credit myself, but we have somebody that's in the lab at the hospital. We had another one in law enforcement. So we have a wide variety of backgrounds that we can mentor these young girls in.
Today's guest is Janice Walters, the senior troop leader with the local troop of the Girl Scouts, and we are taste testing their various cookies. We've had 2, so we're going to have to hustle. We got
Alrighty.
7 more.
All right.
All right. What cookie do I have here that says I'm a risk taker on it?
Those are the lemon ups. It's a nice lemon cookie with a little lemon glaze on the bottom. Perfect with a cup of tea. And I might mention too that the s'mores and the lemon cookies each have a little different inspirational saying on the top of it. The s'mores, a picture, and the lemon ups in words.
I really like that lemon up. That one's tasty. Now, let's dive in. I know that this is a very popular one. Several of my agents told me this was their favorite cookie.
It's the number 2. It's the Samoa, caramel, coconut, and chocolate. Just delicious.
I'm looking forward to this one. With my mouth full, I'll cover my mouth.
That's all right.
Tell me a little about the badges and journeys as I'm enjoying this some more.
Absolutely, you enjoy. There are 2 different ways that girls gain some skills. One is badges, and that's kind of like a one and done. Learn to sew on a button or learn to tie a knot with a rope and then get the badge for that. A journey, on the other hand, is a small booklet that takes you through many different aspects of a particular subject. Let's take the environment, and we might talk about environmental impact. We might talk about ways to recycle. We might talk about a global view. We might talk about what we can do locally, say maybe like a beach cleanup, so that the many different aspects take you on a journey to explore that particular subject. And that usually has, rather than one single badge, either 3 or 4 badges as you work through the book. And then eventually, a girl has the ability to do either a bronze, silver, or gold award, which is a lengthy project, the Gold Award taking approximately 80 hours of time and certain requirements. But once a girl earns that Gold Award, they get certain advantages. A lot of times that's a leg up on job interviews, community service. You might get an extra rank or 2 going into the military. So that Gold Award is nothing to sneeze at.
All right.
That's
cookie?
that's a fairly new cookie. That's called the Adventureful, and chocolate being very popular. That's a brownie base with a caramel on the top and a little chocolate drizzle. They're gaining a lot of traction and popularity. Everybody likes a good brownie.
I do, but thus far the Samoa is my favorite.
All righty.
I like that coconut and chocolate. Now, tell me a little about some of the famous Girl Scouts while I lick chocolate off my can.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, in some of the different avenues, we have Lucille Ball, famous comedian, Grace Kelly, famous actress, Janet Reno, Condoleezza Rice, both in politics and
Right.
diplomacy, Shirley Temple, child star, and I'm going to tell you about Queen Elizabeth II from the British Isles. Juliet Gordon Low, who started the program back in 1912, spent a considerable amount of time in England and patterned the Girl Scouts after a Boy Scouting program in England, made the Girl Guides in England, and then brought it to the United States to be the Girl Scouts. So,
Very interesting.
yes,
I did not
Queen
know that
Elizabeth
history.
was in our sister organization, the Girl Guides in England.
All right, which cookie is this?
That is the trefoil, and kind of the classic trefoil shape that you see on my shirt here for the Girl Scout logo and on my scarf. And that is that sugar cookie that you were talking about in the last segment. There you go. That's the classic sugar shortbread cookie.
That's pretty good. And
It
I
is.
don't normally like.
All right.
All right, now what is this one here?
Okay, those are called tag-alongs, and we have peanut butter lovers and we have chocolate lovers. This is for the one that likes both. We have a little cookie underneath filled with peanut butter covered in chocolate.
That would be my wife's favorite. That one's good.
Alrighty.
What's your personal favorite?
You know,
Uh-oh, you can't
yeah,
say-
yeah,
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 oh,
yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
press-
Come on now, they're my children. Don't make me choose.
All of them.
All of them.
It's hard to
Exactly,
choose.
exactly. But I do have to say that in addition to eating them, I like to cook with them. And we're going to be getting around to what's called the toffee tastic. So why don't we do those
All right.
next? Little bits of toffee inside this pecan sandy kind of cookie. And, I'll eat a couple, but then I'll chop a few up and drizzle some butter on it and make a crust in the bottom of a pan for my cheesecake. Phenomenal ways to talk about using cookies to bake with.
Ooh, I like that toffee.
Isn't it
I
nice?
may have a new favorite.
There you go.
I don't know. That's pretty tough.
Alrighty. Well, we've got one more.
While I'm thoroughly enjoying this last one, 9 cookies, folks. And this has maybe been my favorite show. I enjoy the intellectual aspect of learning, but hard to beat the belly. Tell me about this cookie.
Okay, this is our peanut butter cookie called Do-si dough. Dough and dough on the outside, C in the middle. It's a oatmeal cookie with a peanut butter center.
If someone's out there and they're like, oh my gosh, I gotta have a cookie, how would they go about getting Girl Scout cookies?
Well, in the name of safety for Girl Scouts, we're not allowed to advertise on the air, but you may go to GSHG, that's Girl Scouts of Historic Georgia, gshg.org, and click on the Cookie Finder tab, or you can call me at 706-897-3378, and we will have a chat about how I can hook you up. You know, you've been clean for a year, but your dealers are here.
I was going to open with the drug pushers are back, but you're cookie pushers. I didn't want to offend anyone with that, but tell me something. In all the years you've done it, tell me about some of the memories.
This is my favorite by far. Girls start out so timid and so shy. They don't know how to talk to the customers. They don't know how to do money management. And at the end of the season, that complete transformation into a confident girl who knows how to talk to people and her product, that is the number one.
If someone is listening and either want a cookie to learn about y'all, the Girl Scouts, what phone number could they give y'all?
706-897-3378.
Folks, as always, we really appreciate you listening in and hope you enjoy one of these wonderful cookies. Thanks for listening.